your EP, right?
Right.
You have no control over your shit, right?
I have all control.
You have no control over your shit, right?
I have control over
You have
your
no
shit.
control over
What
your shit.
control don't I have?
None.
What?
All this drama
Yeah.
is got something to do with you.
No, it doesn't.
All the time. You're in the middle.
I don't care.
But you stay behind that border.
Behind what
You
bar?
stay right there. You
What
stay
bar?
right there.
I don't got no smoke with none of these girls in the house, but Rollie, like, you keep pushing me there, and it's time for me to just handle my...
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Touche, and today we are going to be going through the most recently released episode of Baddies. So I think this is like usually the first statement I always say at the beginning of my videos, but yeah, in today's video we're going to be going through the episode with the team name Girls Gone Wild of Baddies South. I'll be giving you a full rundown from first scenario to the very last. If this is something you're very much interested in getting a scoop on, hello, let's meet in the next video. But yeah, before you do that, if you're new to this channel, please go ahead to click the subscribe button. Keep supporting this channel. Thank you. Okay, so this episode actually, obviously is definitely going to start with the continued scene that the last episode ended at, right? So yeah, these ladies were at the Calendars Club, and Sydney was at Rollie's face with a jerky, talking mad, hella mad. And that was when Rollie felt the need to bathe her with a glass of champagne, right? Now, after Rollie did this, the ladies, all charged at her, and I think at some point the security came in between them and kind of like separated Sydney Star from the rest of the ladies. And I saw Sydney Star walking to the back, and in my mind I'm like, okay girl, you've done what you needed to do, bye. I didn't know that she was going back to the MC stage to pick up the mic, and guess what she went to do? She got the mic and she started like throwing a lot of jabs at the ladies. She said something about Rollie having cookies and all of that, and that was when all the ladies began to like respond, right? First of all, it was Slim went straight to where she was, obviously on the opposite end or on the opposite side of the stand, and tried to like drag the mic from her, but wasn't successful, and at some point got removed from that place by one of the security guards. And then next person that charged, or I wouldn't say charged, but like went to where Sydney Star was like talking hella mad shit about the ladies was Jayla. She basically went there, and I think Jayla was the one that like forcefully got the mic from Sydney Star, and that was when she started responding to all the jabs that Sydney Star had been throwing at them. Basically in Jayla's response, she was like, because I think Sydney Star called her bald-headed, and she was like, yes, she's bald-headed but by choice, and that she's I think she said something about being prettier than majority of girls in the world, something like that. I think I heard something like that. And she said a whole lot of stuff. She actually responded to all of Sydney Star's jabs. In fact, when Jayla started talking, Sydney Star got mute, like she went mute, and that was when all the other girls came and stood behind, basically supporting what Jayla was saying. And at some point I think Persuasion got the mic from Jayla and flung it at Sydney Star. The night ended with the girls still having a good time and Sydney Star being really embarrassed. Okay, so in the next scene, it was basically the girls back in the Sprinter on their way to New Orleans, and yeah, for some reason Rollie and Slim were missing on that Sprinter, and that was when Natalie disclosed the exact reason why. So according to Nali, she said that, you know, back at the airport, Scotty had confronted Rollie, basically asking her why she felt the need to tag into a fight that, you know, only concerned Chris Rock and Slim. And, you know, Rollie got furious at her and, threatened to beat her or something, and walked out with Slim following behind. So that was the reason why Slim and Rollie weren't present in the bus at that particular time. So, when Nali mentioned this, Persuasion felt the need, or basically, Nali turned to Scotty and asked exactly Scotty what had happened or what she had said. And Scotty went ahead to say that, you know, she basically only approached Rollie with an opinion, and Rollie got mad and threatened to like beat her and stuff. And I think at some point Persuasion, you know, kind of like interjected with the need to like explain further. And that was when Persuasion said that, you know, according to Rollie, Scotty had said that if Rollie was going to tag again into a fight, she was going to join herself in that fight, right? And basically when Persuasion said this, you know, Scotty kind of like caught her out saying that no, that wasn't what she said, that she basically only talked about or only gave an opinion as to, you know, Rollie tagging into a fight that didn't concern her. So I think at some point the bus kind of like intersected with Rollie and Slim, who were like standing outside. And you know, Nali was like, okay, she was gonna go outside and see if she can, you know, get back Rollie and Slim on the bus. And you know, she basically FaceTimed Scotty, who was in the bus at that time, saying, and basically told Scotty that, you know, she was gonna FaceTime her and, you know, try to go outside and have a conversation with, you know, Rollie and Slim, which is exactly what she did. Now, when she got outside, Nali was like, you know, that she didn't really understand exactly what was going on, that, you know, there was a whole lot of mess or shit going on, and they were like, you know, frustrated and all of that with you know, everything that has been happening or that had happened up until that very point in time, that she understands. You know, it was at this point that Rollie kind of like cut in, saying that no, she doesn't understand, and that she's always at the top of it, she's always the leader of it, she's always instigating shit, that she has a problem with Nali, right, for always instigating a lot of shit, right? And Nali was like, you know, basically trying to make her understand that she has no business with any of the problems that have, you know, escalated, you know, amongst the girls. And if you ask me, I am in support of that. As far as I'm concerned, Nali has just been on her own, trying to keep cool, trying to be neutral at the same time. But like I said, I think I mentioned this in my previous video, I was like, these girls always have a way of, you know, trying so hard to make their issues her issue. I think at some point she even like kind of like walked towards Nali, I think probably about to start a fight, because it was at the point that Nali was like, you know, raising her voice and trying to explain, like I said, not necessarily or not intentionally raising her voice at Rollie, but basically trying to explain her own side of the whole thing. And you know, I think that was a point that, you know, Rollie kind of like walked up to Nali, basically asking her, you know, who she was screaming at. And Nali was like, I'm not screaming at you, I'm actually talking to Scotty, who is on the phone right here. And that was when, you know, Rollie backed up. And you know, in between, Rollie kind of like got an Uber and left both Nali and Slim behind. And I was like, okay, I thought this was your bitch. You see, this is the problem with being a groupie or being a follower. You're directionless without your so-called leader, you know. And I'm referring to Slim right now, because I felt so embarrassed on her behalf when Rollie ordered that Uber and went away, leaving Slim behind. I was like, isn't Slim supposed to be her ride or die or her bitch? But here is Slim being abandoned. I really laughed at that point, and I didn't feel bad for Slim. I feel like, you know, Rollie doesn't have a mind of her own, in all honesty, because majority of the time she's following Rollie's back. She's at Rollie's back, doing exactly what Rollie is doing, wanting to do, being in. If Slim is happy this very second and Rollie is sad, then that same second, best believe Rollie's Slim's mood is gonna change to match up with Rollie's, and I'm like, bro, have a mind of your own. And that was it. Nally also left Slim back where she was and got back into the Sprinter. Okay, so Nally got back into the Sprinter, and obviously as ladies that they definitely were gonna talk about how the conversation went down and all of that. Nally just gave them like a brief rundown on how the conversation went, and that was when Persuasion had to voice her mind, saying that she didn't give a fuck about Rollie and Slim coming back on the bus, that she didn't even give a fuck about Slim. Okay, actually why this even came up from Sean was because Nally said something very funny. If you ask me, she said something like this.
What kind of car she got in?
Yeah, it was a Tesla or a Prius. It's black, and Slim might be somewhere running behind it. So just.
And yeah, this was when Sean said that she didn't give a fuck about Slim, that she was ugly as fuck, and I was like, come on girl. And she went ahead to also reiterate that Nally was fake as far as she was concerned, because the last time she checked, those were her friends, but here she was and all of that. And Nally had to like make her understand that she didn't have any problem or have any problems with these persons. And she basically told them there when they were outside that she had no problem with either of them. And I think in between, actually, before this conversation even went this far, Rollie had actually texted her saying that she was the problem, like saying that Nally was the problem, and Nally was like trying to understand like where that was coming from. And if you ask me, why do these ladies keep pointing fingers at Nally? Please, you guys should let me know in the comment section. Is it that I'm blind, or there's something that is happening? Probably there's something you guys are watching elsewhere, not on Zeus, that I'm not aware of. Because right from episode 1 up until now, I don't see how Nally has been an instigator. I know when someone is instigating someone or something rather, and I can tell you for a fact that Nally hasn't been any of that. So like, what's going on? But yeah, the ladies had their opinions. Christian had the loudest, as at that particular point in time in the bus. And Jayla, of course, who would always have something to say, basically was advising Scotty, saying basically she asked Scotty what she was gonna do if they pulled up at the house and found Rollie and Slim already there at the front door rather. And Scotty was like, she was gonna ask them what their problem was with her and all of that. And Jayla was like, no, you don't do any talking. Immediately you see them bam, boom, 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 bam, bam, bam. Meaning like she should get right into it, like fight, exchange hands and all of that. And Scotty was like, hell yeah. And I'm like, girl, please shut up. Like, both of you shut up. But yeah. Okay, so the girls finally arrived at the New Orleans house, and I have to say, the exterior wasn't giving. Yes. So it wasn't given to me. And like Nally mentioned in the video, it was also in a rough neighborhood. So I don't know, I really don't know. But yeah, let's talk about the pink bus that they lost, I think somewhere in sometime in Charlotte City, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got their pink bus back, and it was sitting right there, sitting pretty basically in front of their New Orleans house. So when they got out from the Sprinter, they first of all went to check out the bus. Now obviously the girls had a lot to say. Anyway, before I go to what they had to say, when they entered into the bus, the bus was giving like party vibes, club vibes, compared to the previous bus that they had, which was giving more like a road trip vibe. It had like more space, a comfort area that you could basically live in, right? But for this new bus, it had like the whole interior was like, hey ladies, you ain't gonna be lazing around in this in this bus, you know. But back to what the girls had to say about the bus. So like a lot of them had to say that the exterior of the bus looked more like a churchy bus, right? I really don't know what churchy buses in America look like. But yeah, Persuasion had a lot to say about that. But at the same time, she was also quite relieved that, you know, the exterior was, you know, giving, in the sense that, you know, it was not as lazy as the previous bus. So it was like a downside and an upside for this new bus. Downside in the sense that it had a churchy exterior. Upside in the sense that, you know, it had a club vibe interior rather. The ladies finally, you know, got the chance to go back into the house. And when they got into the house, I would say the house was okay to me, not compared to their previous place. Honey, the previous place was everything. If you lock me up in that house, I would tell you to take the keys and throw them away, okay? But for this new house, I was like, hell fuck no, bro. But like, it wasn't that bad, but like, it wasn't just given to me anyway. But the girls liked it, and I think that's all that matters after all. Yeah, the girls got in, they were happy about the new space, and you know, as Nali would always do, she like kind of like assembled them for like, you know, a mini chat. She first of all started with the whole rollie and, you know, Slim situation, talking about like, you know, she was disappointed that they weren't there. And then she now moved ahead to talk about, you know, the previous night they had at Calendar's Club when Sydney Star came to fuck shit up for them. But you know, it wasn't gonna be the same, as they were stepping out very much later that night and they were gonna have a good time. And then she proceeded to asking Christian, you know, how she felt about hanging out with them very much later that night, you know, especially when they all knew that she had bounty hunters on her tail. But you know, Christian, in as much as she didn't really seem like she was so happy about the situation she was in, she was still very much, you know, willing to step out with the girls. After that whole, you know, brief conversation, Nali moved on to you know, asking Scotty about how she felt about having a conversation with Rollie and Slim paraventure if they came to the house. And you know, Scotty was like, she was about whatever they were about. And you know, Nali was like, what the fuck does that even mean? And you know, that was when Scotty went on to further explain that, you know, if they were gonna have a cordial conversation, that she was down, right? But if they were going to throw hands or exchange hands, that she was also still down, right? She went ahead to ask girls about how they felt about, you know, the whole jumping tagging scenario. And you know, Jayla obviously would always have something to say first. Yeah, she came out saying, or she said that, you know, if they were gonna do their thing, if there was gonna be any exchange of hands, if they were gonna do it one-on-one, nobody, Slim not tagging in or both of them not tagging in, you know, that everybody was gonna, you know, sit back and watch them do their thing. But it was gonna be a different scenario if you know, Slim decided to tag in. That was when, you know, she was gonna, you know, go ahead to like hop into the fight. Ali went ahead to inform the girls that, you know, she had some good plans for the girls that night, and she was gonna reach out to one of her baddies, her male baddies who ran New Orleans, to basically see if he was going to be available to hang out with them very much later that night. Okay, so the next scene is, you know, Nali meeting up with Scotty and Christian, who are alone in a room, chit-chatting. You know, Nali goes up there and, you know, they start playing around with beads. Nali, you know, like basically is telling them, okay, Nali was doing this thing of, she had like several beads she was wearing, so she was like, whoever needed to get one piece from her needed to like, you know, show a titty. And yeah, so it was the same thing she did as when she got in. And after everybody settled in properly, Nali went ahead to like, you know, recap the whole rollie situation, basically asking Scotty what beef she truly had with Rollie, because she couldn't still seem to wrap her head around, you know, Rollie not joining them in the bus. And you know, Scotty responded saying that, you know, she only had an opinion, and that was what got Rollie mad. I think what she was trying to explain further, Christian farted. Like, who does that? No, first time is a mistake. Second time is very intentional, and I'm saying second time because she did it 2 times. So this first time, when Scotty was trying to explain herself, she farted, and like, bro, I'm sure that it stunk. Like, it stunk. Harley felt the need to go get like a Christian Dior perfume for Sean, and and that was when Christian made this very, very abstract statement, if you ask me, because she said that she didn't want the Christian Dior spray because it smelled churchy. And I was like, what? Who says that? But yeah, in my mind I'm like, okay, so you prefer your stinking ass fart smell to the Christian Dior smell. But yeah, after the whole conversation, Nally went ahead to remind them that she was gonna go call Riley. If you've actually seen Bad Boys Club, one of the guys there whose name was or is Riley, that was the guy that Nally was intending to reach out to see if he could hang out with the girls that night. Okay, so the next scene is Anne and Jayla sitting down comfy in the sitting room, and of course they are joined by Persuasion. After Persuasion takes a seat, Jayla feels the need to ask Persuasion how she felt about Rollie and Slim's absence. And basically, and Persuasion responded with that she hoped that they joined them for the night hangout very much later that evening. And Jayla lied through her teeth, saying that she hoped so too, in her defense, that it was the last night in New Orleans, and they really needed to participate. But girl, that's not the same thing you said when you were in the Sprinter the other day. I'm just saying. Okay.
Bye, Louisiana. Bitch, hop on the trolley and get where you gotta get.
What, mamas?
I ain't looking for Slim. That bitch is ugly.
But yeah, moving forward, Anne went ahead to ask how they felt about Nally. And now I'm starting to think this Anne is a low-key hater, because every single time Anne has a conversation or wants to have a conversation, Nally is always in the mix. She's always asking someone how they feel about Nally. Like, nobody asks her, nobody talks about, when nobody even talks about Nally, she's always the one to bring up Nally in the conversation. So I'm just here what the fuck, what's up with you? And if you like her that much, why don't you go sit down and have a conversation with her already and leave the girl alone? Jayla went ahead to respond, saying that Nally had definitely done a lot of fucked up shit, and said a lot of fucked up shit that hurt her. But she being the businesswoman that she is or was, I don't know what tense to use, that she was gonna look past everything and do what was expected of her, because in the end she realizes and acknowledges that Nally was a creative genius. At least you had the sense, you had enough sense to say that. Thank you, because that's actually true. So it's the next scene, and it's a scene where we see Bree hitting up Rollie, and basically it's a video call. Obviously she basically reaches out to Rollie, and Rollie is seen in a car with Slim. So apparently Slim and Rollie finally get to link up. Happy New Year. So Bree asks Rollie how she's feeling. Rollie basically tells her that, you know, she's not happy, she's done with the bullshit, like, you know, she's tired and she's stressed and all of that. And you know, Bree is like, you know, basically just urging her to like come back to the house and hang out with them very much later that night. And you know, Rollie is like, nah, that, you know, she's not in that state of mind, that, you know, she doesn't want to hang out with bitches she doesn't fuck with. And Bree's like, yeah, definitely there are bitches you don't fuck with here, but at the same time you also have bitches that fuck with you. So like, you know, you can hang with us, like you can be with those bitches. And you know, Rollie is like, I don't know how I feel about, you know, all of that. And then that's when Bree goes ahead to like, you know, basically tell her that, oh, okay, see, I know that you really don't like or would want to be in the space of these other girls, but it's a room that has you, me, and Slim. And that was when I was like, girl, that is why you called Rollie, because you're in the room alone. This is just my opinion, I might be wrong, but yeah, basically she kind of like compensated Rollie, saying that, you know, if she came around and she didn't really necessarily want to be in the space, in the same space with those other girls, that could be settled, because the room that was upstairs was just for her, Rollie and Slim, while the others were downstairs, so like they could basically not even get to meet. I think when or after Bree had like finally successfully convinced Rollie into coming back to the house, Rollie kind of like mentioned, okay, you know what, I was actually on my way to the airport with Slim, but you know, I'm gonna reroute. And I was like, there she goes, making the rules and her follower just following. Why I say this is because, you know, initially when she had said, or as at that time when she said that, you know, she was gonna reroute, Slim said nah, that she wasn't gonna go. If Rollie was going back to the house, she wasn't going back with her. And you know, I think very much later when you know, I think Rollie had finalized that, okay, yeah, she was routing the trip. When I say finalized, she hadn't asked for Slim's permission. She hadn't, you know, kind of like inquired from Slim how she felt about it. She just basically made that decision there and there, right? Slim kind of like justified her immediate changing decision by saying that, you know, as long as I don't get to meet those bitches, that's fine. I'm like, girl, shut up, stop being a fucking follower. So yeah, in this scene, basically Nally, Christian, Scotty were at the kitchen, you know, talking about, you know, meeting up with Relly. And that was when Bree came in saying that, you know, basically reporting herself, saying that she had called Rollie over and they were about to pull up like very, very soon. And I think, you know, when she said that to the girls, everybody gave this disappointed look. But like, you know, Nally was like, that was fine, you know, that was okay. And then very much later, you know, Bree got like almost some seconds very much later after she had said so, she got a call from Rollie, a video call as well. And that was when Bree, you know, went to usher them in. Now, as when they came in, Rollie and Slim took a seat, right? And everybody, there was like some seconds of silence, and that was when Nally was like, she was gonna Nally felt like she felt the need to like begin the conversation. So Nally basically started saying that, you know, that ever since day one she has been fucking with everybody, right? She has been rolling with everybody, you know, and being neutral with everybody, right? But every single time she turns her back, like someone is always quick to say that she is a Hollywood fake ass bitch and always instigating stuff. Now it was I think when she was saying this, she started raising her voice, and you know, Rollie kind of like asked her to, I think, tone down or something. I do know that Rollie basically asked you know, Scotty about what she had said. And it was at this point that Rollie kind of like disclosed that Scotty had kind of threatened her, saying that when they had a conversation, that Scotty had basically told her that the next time she was going to jump someone, that she was going to, like, you know, she would have no other option but to jump in Scotty. This is Scotty basically telling Rollie. And Rollie, that was when Rollie told her that if she dared to try it, she was gonna smack the shit out of her. And it was like a conversation, like it was did I say conversation? It was like a heated verbal argument from Rollie to Natalie and Scotty. But Rollie at some point had to like shut Natalie up, and that was when she was like trying to like straighten her own difference with Scotty. And I think at the point when Rollie like disclosed that Scotty had lied, because if you remember back at the Sprinter, Scotty had denied that she said anything or she threatened Rollie. According to her, she said she only gave Rollie her opinion, which was Rollie didn't have any business stepping into a fight that had nothing to do with her. But now in the kitchen, Rollie was saying otherwise, was saying that Scotty had in fact threatened to like step into a fight if for any reason Rollie tagged, basically. And that was like where the whole heated verbal argument started from, right? The whole back and forth between Scotty and Rollie. Now in between the mix, right, Rollie also disclosed that Scotty had also mentioned to her that one of her friends had come to tell her that the reason why the fight started between Slim and Rock was because Slim had thrown the bottle at Rock first, which obviously is a lie. Because if you remember, obviously whatever happened whatever had happened to like create some kind of bad energy between Rock and Slim was not aired. The only thing we got to see was Slim retaliating, because the previous night Rock had thrown a bottle at her. So now the person that was feeding Scotty information, or maybe it was just Scotty trying to play cool or act cool or look cool, had told Scotty that Slim was in fact the person to like throw the bottle at Krishan, basically the one to start the fight, which obviously if you had been following the episodes, that was a very, very, very fat lie. So like it now brings me to ask, like, what kind of clique of girls are these jailers, so-called jailers clique? Like all of them, if you ask me, if I were to choose the side I would be on, trust me, it's definitely gonna be the side that has Rollie and Slim. Because if you ask me, the ones that have the most negative energy and the most fakeness they are on this other side. For this particular argument, I would like to talk about a couple things. First thing I would like to talk about is the fact that Rollie immediately was so quick to say that Natalie was the one that started the issue between herself and Scotty. Like, how? Because like the last time I checked, whatever beef you had with Scotty was because Scotty had met up with you, according to you, allegedly threatening you. So like, where does Natalie come in the mix? Also, I'd like to talk about the fact that during Scotty's narrative, she said something about that the beef between herself and Rollie wasn't even that deep, not as deep as Rollie and Nally's, which was like roots deep. And I was like, that really, really, really gave me like a broader view as to truly who this Scotty is. Like, she has this very beautiful outside, but like, honey, that girl has a very, very, very ugly inside. Because when she made that comment, or when she made that commentary, I was like, I was trying to do like a whole lot of plus and minus in my mind, because I was like, first off, what even gave you that confidence to say that? Like, where is that confidence coming from? Because I will keep saying this lady only just got into the house. So like, you don't even really know of any beef that has been between Rollie and Natalie, because as far as I'm concerned, she has not experienced any quarrel between Rollie and Natalie. In fact, heck, the last time there was any kind of like split or like, you know, division, Nali was in the clique that had Rollie and Slim. And since I think it was only in the last episode that they finally merged or bonded. So like, where is that evil last commentary coming from? Like, if you ask me, this whole conversation or this whole verbal altercation that happened between Rollie and Nali shouldn't have. And if there was any actual issue, the issue existed between Rollie and Scotty and had entirely nothing to do with Nali. So I was actually really disappointed, because I mean, at first when the whole show started, it did feel like, you know, a whole lot of girls, a lot of them in that group were so quick to like try to like point fingers at Nali whenever they had an issue, especially when they had an issue with other members of the cast. So like, my point is, why or how do you have an issue with a fellow cast member and you're so quick to point the fingers at Nali, saying she's the one that instigated it? Like, how? And so like, I was really disappointed at Rollie, because like, it was like, I mean, okay, the other girls who, like, I mean, right from the time, or right from, you know, the first episode, they had already shown how shallow they could be or how shallow they were. I was like, okay, that's fine coming from these girls. But from Rollie, I was like, hell no, girl. Like, I expected way much better from Rollie. Like, the issue you had was because someone walked up to you and made a threat. So like, where does Nali come into this? Please help me make it make sense, because like, it didn't at all in any way make any sense to me. Okay, so the fight between Nali and Rollie actually happened. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm just gonna put it out there, and I'm sure you've already seen from the first clip that was played at the beginning of this video. So it actually happened, and you already know how it went down. So my thing is, I know that somewhere in between the running of this episode, Krishan had mentioned something about Nali being like, you know, fake, in the sense that Nali had sent some text messages to a long ass text message to Krishan, and then blocked her like after, but like on camera she was acting all friendly with her. So like, maybe it's something, like I said, if I'm judging based on what I am seeing in the strings of these episodes, I don't see how Nali is the instigator. So unless there is something that is being played behind cameras, unless there's something that is, you know, happening behind cameras that has to do with, you know, Nali actually being an instigator, then probably that is where my oversight is coming from. But if I'm, like I said, and I will repeat, if I am judging based on the strings of the episodes I have watched so far up until this very one that I'm talking on, Nali hasn't been an instigator to me.